Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week I have finally watched the movie Obsession. Yay! I mean, I this was another one just with backrooms that I wanted to just like wait until the hype about it died down a little bit because especially with Obsession, um, apparently people were losing their goddamn minds and not knowing how to behave in a theater. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I mean, I'm at this stage in my life, age in my life, age, age at my life, age in my time, something. I am at a point, there we go, in my life where um, I'm not against confrontation, right? Like if somebody's doing something, I will say something to them, and usually the person will stop. So I wasn't like against confronting anybody or anything like that, but I still was just like I'd rather not deal with this if I don't have to. And so I did see this matinee. I saw it at like 3:30. Actually no, I saw it at 4:15. I was trying to see it at 3:31. And then I left my house at 3:30. And yeah, that there was no way I was gonna make that, even with 20-minute trailers. And I'm like, I do like watching trailers beforehand. But either way, so I saw this, I thought it was pretty good. Um, I was really just like, I don't know what the hype was about. Honestly, because it wasn't they weren't doing anything not thought provoking, but like nothing that I hadn't seen before in like a horror movie or anything in that regard. But I think a lot of young people were watching this movie, and I was like, oh, okay, so this might be their first instance of seeing a movie with people that look about their age, dealing with these kinds of problems, issues. And it's also a horror movie, so it's just like, oh yeah, so buddy, if you want to be in here, where are you? Hey buddy, come here, buddy. My baby boy. He's like, wow, you're doing stuff, but it doesn't involve me. Wait, can you hear him purr? Probably not. Oh, and he stopped actually. He was like, you put me on the mic. I'm not gonna perform for you. I love you, buddy. Busting down the door, trying to get in here. This is Archie for people who can see him on my Patreon. And I am yet again recording this the day it's supposed to be posted. I am trying to get better about that. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, doing our best. I just keep having these instances where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this, watch that, and I keep being indecisive, and then it ends up being a last minute thing. Why are you looking like that, Archie? Oh my god. Oh, and he's looking up at me. I love you too. I love you too, buddy. Um, but yeah, no, so now I'm like either I'm gonna watch Disclosure Day or the Sheep Detectives because I keep seeing people say not, like how devastated they are from that movie or something. And I was like, I thought this was like heartfelt. I didn't know this is gonna be like kind of sad. And I'm like, Loki, I feel like being sad by a movie right now. So let's, check it out now that it's on streaming because I actually think it's really cool that what's his name? Is that Hugh Grant? No, that's not Hugh Grant. Oh my God. Jack Hugh Jackman. There we go. I was like, it's a Hugh something. But anyway, so that's what my thing was. It's just like I think maybe because this is a younger audience and people want to be like discourse this, discourse that, and create these uh like I was seeing someone saying like, oh, obsession is like the new way to test someone's um like morals or whatever or something. And I'm like, and so I was like coming in the movie thinking like this wasn't going to be a cut and dry thing, and that there would be more. What are you doing? That there would be more of like a gray area with all of this, but it's like no, the main guy is just pathetic. He's like legitimately pathetic, and he's someone who uses oh my god, I'm like I had notes. Oh, my cat's making bickies. You can't see him because of my mic. There he is, making biscuits, looking at me. That's the biscuit cat that stays on my bed, and he likes to sleep on it. No, but people pleasing. There we go. He's someone who in real life would use people pleasing as a manipulation tactic. Which when I first heard that, I was like, first heard of people pleasing as a manipulation tactic. I was like taken aback because I was like, "Oh my God, I've been a people pleaser. I never tried to manipulate anyone, but I had to like pull back and realize that like no, yeah, it is a manipulation tactic because if you are trying to go above and beyond pleasing someone and then um on the other side of that like you're oh, hey, buddy. You want to listen to me? My cat is distracting me today. But yeah, it's like if you go above and beyond doing things for a person that never asked, by the way, they never asked for these things, and you're expecting something from them because you went above and beyond to do these things that were never asked of you, that is a manipulation tactic because you're expecting something from this person because you just did this really good thing that they never asked you for, right? And so he was about to do that when Nikki, the main girl, uh she loses her crystal necklace, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna run and get this for her, and she's gonna like love that I did this for her." And it's like she just wanted to complain about a thing. She did not ask you to do this. Thankfully, he didn't buy it. But before I get into the plot, actually, let me go over the synopsis, um, which is after breaking the mysterious One Wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price, not place. Oh my God, I did that thing where I only saw the first two letters and just assumed what the word was. And I'm like, oh no, let's stop doing that. Let's read the whole thing. Um, and yeah, and it's like the movie opens with him doing this like heartfelt confession to a woman, and I was like, is this the main girl? And it's like, no. And okay, first she was like, "Oh, that was sweet." And then it ended up being that she was like a waitress at this diner. And I was like, y'all just made her, y'all just forced this on her. But also, she probably was fine with it because customer service and like she could be doing anything else that would probably be much more annoying actually but I mean she could have also got in trouble for doing that, but assuming it was a slow day, she was just like, yeah, I can do this. Or what if that was her fucking break, and now she can't eat, she's gonna have to sneak eat stuff. um but anyway, it's like um so this is Bear. I forgot what his full name is. Baron, I think. I think his full, like his actual name is Baron or something, and it gets shortened to Bear. I'm like, that's kind of a cute nickname. Yeah, it is Baron. Um, and so he is at the diner with his friend Ian, who is played by Cooper Tom Linson. Yeah, Cooper Tom Linson, who is actually really good friends with the director and writer of this movie, Court. Oh my God. Let's get it together. I'm like, it's not that early. Curry. I'm like, I think because I was just like curry and then food and then delicious. Uh, Curry Barker. They're besties, actually. They both met at New York Film Academy, and then they actually both dropped out of school together. And they've made like web series together, like something called The Roommates. No, just called Roommates. And then they also did a sketch comedy channel across different platforms called That's a Bad Idea. And Cooper is also going to be in Curry Barker's new film called Anything But Ghosts, which is coming out next year, which is really cool. But anyway, going back to the plot. So Ian and Bear are at the diner. Ian is like, don't fucking do that. Like, actually, don't do that. And at first I was like, I mean, no, he should definitely just say how he feels. But I was like, no, let's take into account that Ian also knows this person and would know how she would react to something like that. Because at first I was like, is Ian, um, you know, just wanting Nikki to himself or something like that? But I was like, no, actually, maybe it isn't that. Although I did pick that shit up a little bit. Um, but so I'm I'm like trying to remember. So they break off. Bear gets home. His and I'm like trigger warning, I guess, for animal death. But he finds his cat dead from oxycodone. Like somehow the cat had eaten it and then died. And and we see all these medications in the bathroom cabinet, and I was like, oh, is he like a highly medicated person? Is something wrong with him, like in general? Like is he okay? Is he making up a lot of like what he thinks is going on with Nikki and stuff like that? And it's just like, oh yeah, no, it turns out that like he is just very infatuated with this person and very in love with this person, but there's actually nothing going on. Like legitimately, she does not like she's kind to him, but it was obvious to me from the like very beginning when they meet up during their like quiz night or whatever that their other friend, Sarah, was actually more into him than Nikki was. Sarah is played by Megan Lawless, who has been in stuff like The Hate You Give, The Girl from Plainville, and The Death That Awaits. And then Nikki, our main girl, is played by Inde Navarrete, who is who has been in things like the show Superman and Lois, 13 Reasons Why. And all of these people have kind of been acting since, or at least they have acting credits on IMDb since like the latest is like 2015, 2016 with Cooper. And then with Indy, she's been acting since 2018. Oh, and then Baron, our main guy, is played by Michael Johnston, and his IMDb was full of actually a lot of voice acting credits, which I was surprised by. He was the main character of Wonder Deer, uh, Vault, the Wonder Deer playing Vault, and then he was also in Teen Wolf, playing this character, Corey Bryant. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. I was like, "Oh my God, I only saw voice acting credits for most of it." And I was like, has he done acting? And yes, he has. Oh, and speaking of, Curry Barker is also someone who acts too, and he's done both acting and directing of some things like what was the movie that I wrote down? Milk and Cereal. But it's like serial as in like serial killer, and it's like a found footage horror that he directed and acted in alongside Cooper, which he just acted in. But I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, oh, to be besties, making films together, really fun. Uh and oh my God, what was I saying? Oh, I was trying to make sure to say everybody's name, and we got to the um quiz night, which Ian was like, please don't try to ask her out during that. Like, it's awkward as hell. And I was like, maybe it won't be. And I was like, oh no, it is. It is awkward as hell. Don't do that. Please don't do that. She's not into you, actually. Don't do that. Actually. And later on in the movie, we do find out from Sarah that Ian and Nikki were hooking up on and off for not even on and off, just they were hooking up for the last 2 years. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, Ian would know more about what Nikki even wants, like, because they probably only have a physical relationship and she doesn't actually want to be with anyone in that way. Like she feels very much like a character who is like, I'm ready to be away, out of this small town. I'm ready to make a name for myself as a writer and things like that and just be done with, you know, all of these people that I've known for like all of my life, because it turns out that like all of the main cast has been like at least, you know, a knit uh group since like high school and stuff. So and then they all work together at a music store that I believe is owned by Sarah's dad, who it's like I wrote his name down and now I don't see it. Where to go? It's like Andy something. Um, but yeah, it's just like they've been close, and for a minute, oh, I should have did this. Yes. Okay. The dad that is Sarah's dad. His name is Carter, and he's played by Andy Richter. Um, which actually I forgot to look at what Andy's been on. He is Conan O'Brien's sidekick, apparently. He did the voice of Mort in the Madagascar movies, which is cool. I'm like, oh. I'm like, more. Where'd it go? Lemur. He was the lemur. I was like, I haven't watched those movies in so long. I'm like, okay, let's not go too much on a tangent. Um, oh man, he's been acting at least since 1994. He's done mostly comedies, actually. Like he's in Elf. He's in Doctor Dolittle too. Um, now it's just okay. Blades of Glory. He's done a lot of stuff. He's been acting for a minute. Oh, he's been on TV since 93. I'm like, damn, he's been acting since for as long as I've been alive. That's crazy. All right. Not to go on too many tangents, but I'm like, it is called now what was I talking about? That's that's about I guess I am gonna be moving around because I don't have a script. I have a general, we're gonna talk about this. Um, but yes, I just forgot to look up that actor specifically because I've been trying to be better about talking about the actual actors, what they've done career-wise, and putting it all back together. And then also talking about like, more of the um I believe it's called below the line, which isn't there's not like a hierarchy or anything. It's just like stuff that happens behind the scenes. Um things so like the scripty or the art department and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, no. So it's like completely obvious that she is not into him at all. And actually Sarah is a little bit more into him because when he brings up that his cat died because he wasn't going to go out to this like trivia night thing because he was like in mourning, and Nikki was like, well, she like teased him a bit and got him to come out because he was like, oh, I've got things to do and all this stuff. And she's like, can you do those things later? So if anything, I'm like, it's probably a bit more obvious to her that he likes her, but she isn't gonna like fully take advantage of that or anything like that. She's just like not liking the attention because I'm like, because that was another thing too. Whenever I see like these creepy ass, like kind of pathetic characters or actors playing pathetic characters, I'm like, I need to see you outside of the context of this because you're creeping me out, buddy. And that's why I was so surprised that Michael Johnston didn't have that many like physical acting credits because I was like, oh damn, you don't be doing nothing? No. But yeah, I just wanted to see him out of the context of this because like something like Lurker, like that main actor, I was like, he creeping me out a little bit. I need to see what he looked normally because I am uncomfortable. It was a great movie though. It was fucked up, but it was great. And I'm like, and that was like an indie. I wish more people got to see it, but hopefully it's on streaming somewhere. Oh, um, Way. Yeah, it's a movie, of course. Oh, it's on HBO Max, which I don't have. I think it's on Prime for rent, of course. Um, but yeah. Anyway, anyway. Ugh, so he comes out even though he's like sad as fuck about his cat dying, because yeah, but he doesn't tell anybody. And then he's like moping about and unexpressive, and then trying to like mouth talk to Ian about wanting to ask her out and stuff, while Sarah and Nikki are there at the same table having an actual conversation. And I'm like, can y'all engage in the conversation instead of just sitting there trying to talk to each other, but not talk to each other? Um, and so Nikki, of course, calls down and is just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because this is weird. This is weird. And she decides to get like tequila shots, and Bear's like, I'm gonna go with you to help. And he gets a pina colada. He actually never takes a shot, which I'm like, thankfully he doesn't, because then he decides to drive her home later on, and I'm like, well, thankfully he wasn't like intoxicated. But I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, so because I was like, how does he get the one wish willow again? They're on the phone. She convinces him to go to the bar, but while she's like on the phone, she loses her crystal necklace, and he's like, oh my God, I have to get this for her. So he goes to a crystal shop. People at this shop are funny as fuck, honestly. There is some comedy in this. too, yeah. Like there were some funny moments. Um and there were laughs in the theater, even though there were like a handful of us. Um and so he the lady is on the phone, but also doing trying to help him out or whatever. And he's like, which one of these should I get? And she's like, all of them do different things. Like this one helps to concentrate, this one does this, da 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 da. And she's like, oh my God, because she's on the phone. And he's like, what? So then, because I was like, yeah, no, a fucking crystal. She said a crystal necklace. You don't know what kind of crystal. You don't actually know her like that to even like he doesn't this behavior showed me that he doesn't even have like a basic understanding of who she is as a person, because I'm like, if he wanted to replace this and he actually was paying attention to her and actually engaged with her on like a personal person level, he would understand. He would already have an understanding of the crystals, of what kind of crystals she likes, of what crystal she was wearing, was she what the intentions behind that crystal were for her and why she was wearing it and stuff like that. Like he would just know these things because he would be engaging with her as a person, as a friend, not just someone he is like infatuated with, who he idolizes, because it's obvious to me as well that he is attracted to her not because of who she, not because of like just being in love with her as a person, but because of the parts of her personality that he doesn't have himself, right? Because she is someone, and again, we only see this part of her for a very quick time, but she, Indy, the actor who plays Nikki, does a really good job of um showing off this person's personality in that first like 10 minutes that we get with the real her, of like her being outspoken, no nonsense, kind of going with the flow, sort of imaginative, and all of these like, and just like brimming with confidence in herself and everything like that. Maybe she's like a little not that confident because she, was trying to write and everything and get into school and go away and stuff. So she, talks to Bear about that a little bit because no one else around her is really interested in that kind of thing. And she's like, I'm so glad I could talk to you about this. I can't talk to anyone about this. And this is like when they're in the car. Um, and it's just like she thought of him as a friend that she could try to have like sort of a closer bond than like Ian, who she was just like fucking and it was just like whatever, you know, like just call him up for a dick appointment type shit. And um and I guess she wasn't that close to Sarah, or maybe they were, but not close. Um and it's probably because Sarah likes Bear. And I'm like, God damn it, Sarah, you're male centered actually. Because you're caring more about the fact that someone you are attracted to is attracted to not you, rather than being a friend to Nikki, you know? It's like, God, that's fucked up. But what was I trying to say? Okay, so going back to the crystal shop, rather than getting a crystal necklace, like I was saying, it's like he doesn't have these general understanding of her as a person. And rather than doing that, he sees the One Wish Willow and he's like, oh, I'll just get it. Whatever. I'll give it to. He wanted to give it to Nikki initially, and I think he was going to give it to her to maybe have her wish to get into the school she wanted, or, like help with the writer's blocks she had or whatever. Either way, he drops her off. He wants to tell her something, give her the Wish Willow. He chickens out, and I'm like, yeah, of course, because you have no confidence. You are just a blah person. Like, oh my God, you're so passive. He's such a passive, like, I don't want to be too mean because I'm like, it's not that I used to be like this, but I there's something similar that I see in this person, and that's what's making me upset with him because I used to kind of have this more passive, um, not even actually. I think I was around people that had more of a passive, um, like lifestyle where they, and I'm saying passive in a way of like passive participants in their lives where they weren't actively trying to either change something about their life or, honestly, that's the main thing, because it's like, okay, you complain about this, you complain about that, but are you making active um actions to get yourself out of those things, right? Because if you aren't, then you are just a passive person in your own life because you're not doing anything to change your circumstances. So it's like, okay, so you're complaining and you're not doing anything to change those circumstances, you know? And I'm like, and that's just normal complaints, not like complaints about the government or, something that is a little bit more out of your hands unless you like go out and protest and rally up people, which takes time and energy and effort. But it's like if you're complaining about your job, if you're complaining about your roommate, if you're complaining about, um, I don't know, like your commute or something. Like, let's say you're complaining about someone, like you're on the train and you're complaining about always having to deal with the noise on the train, right? And you aren't going to do anything like, let's say, getting noise canceling headphones or listening to music, or if it's someone else playing music, asking them to tone it down, because other people are on the train wanting to experience at least some level of silence, maybe, right? But it's like, no, rather than doing any of those things that I just named, because I know at least with the third one, it's like, okay, that's confrontational. We're not going to do it. That'll be a little harder. That's a harder level thing. But something like getting noise canceling headphones or, just having headphones in general and trying to listen to music, those are tangible things that you could do. But rather than doing those things, you're going to complain about the sound that you hear almost every day when you could be doing those things, or you could be doing a different route, anything else. You're being passive. Or if you're complaining about, like a relationship you're in, right? And it's like this person that you're with is not willing to change, even though they say they are, but their actions aren't matching up to their words. And you have to go by people's actions. You don't go by people's words because a lot of the time they could be saying something to say something, but if they're not actively changing, then they weren't going to change, even if they said they were. And so it's like, okay, you're going to complain about this person. And I know it could be hard to leave people. I know things could be tied up to another person's income and housing, and that makes it harder and harder to be able to leave. But that doesn't mean you can't leave, right? Because, like, if you're working, you could be friends with your coworkers and then try to figure out a way to either move in with one of them or find a new housing situation with one of them, things like that. Or even just like leaving to live in an SRO or hotel for a few weeks or something, or a Airbnb or something on the cheaper side so you could be going week by week and then saving up money, or even just saving up money while you're living in a more shitty situation, and then so you can get to the point where you could eventually leave. There's a lot of there's a lot of things, but again, like I'm saying, these are just like kind of examples that I'm using of like someone taking more of a passive, um just being more passive in their life rather than actively trying to change their circumstances. And that's how this bear person in this movie is behaving. And I really don't like that. I don't like when people are like this because it's just like, so, okay, he chickens out on trying to say something to her and giving her the one wish willow and everything like that. And she goes into her house and then he grabs it for himself and he's like, I wish Nikki would love me more than anyone else in this world, and breaks it. And I'm like, this he's dumb. Why would you do that? Stupid. But I'm saying that because um I'm just like, he don't do fucking love spells on other people. Like that's ultimately my big thing. It's like, don't do love spells on other people. Do them on yourself. Do them on yourself, but don't do spells in general on other people without their consent. That's just point blank period. And this was another reason why I didn't really want to watch this movie, because it didn't feel like it would do anything that I hadn't already seen, because I was like, oh, this is just a love spell that goes wrong, because that is what happens when you do love spells on people. They always go wrong because you're forcing this person to behave not like themselves, and they will become obsessed with you. Like, that is generally what will happen when you do a love spell on someone without their consent, to be in love with you. And the way he phrased it too, more than anyone in this world, as I watched the movie and as her behavior became more and more erratic and she was doing things to please him and had him be the center of her world, where she was just like trying to keep him in the house. She didn't move until she stayed in one spot until he would come back home, because so she'd be kind of like idling to the point where she ended up pissing and shitting herself, which is crazy. But it was that erratic level that told me that, like, oh, more love him more than anyone else, because the person she loved the most in the world was her fucking self, and he was being put above herself to the point where she couldn't do anything. I saw someone point out that, like, she would try not to look at him too much, because that would sort of activate this other version of her that would take over and be much more obsessed with him and possessive of him. And I'm just like, it's a love spell. Don't do love spells on people. Don't do magic on people without their consent. That's just, it's gonna go bad. It's always gonna go bad. That's just how it is. Um, I love the movie The Love Witch, which is definitely more magically inclined. Like, that is what that is. Um, but she is someone that does magic, and specifically sex magic. And even if you look at the trailer, you see how when she does magic on these men, they become obsessive and possessive and actually just go crazy. And she would go out of her way to, she'd just be like going after these men that she really, really wanted, even though they might have been married or in a relationship in general. Um, and then it takes a turn. I'm like, I don't wanna talk too much about a different movie, but I do enjoy that movie because, oh my god, it's shot in film, it's gorgeous, it's very colorful. It was shot in the Bay Area as well. They tried to make it timeless, but there's like one instance of them using like a phone, and I was like, LOL. And it's like an old phone. I mean, it's old for the time, for time now, because this movie came out in 2016, and you wouldn't think that because of just how the main character's aesthetic is and everything like that. Like, it looks like a movie from the 70s. Um, it's a gorgeous film. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. But I'm like, that movie is a perfect example of why you should not do love spells on people without their consent. But like I was saying, with doing a love spell, it's like you should do it on yourself because ultimately what could be happening is that like you're attracting um you rather than attracting, you could be stuck in these patterns of being attracted to people from your past and things that are familiar but unsafe, right? And it's a lot scarier to put yourself out there with something unfamiliar that actually could be a safer situation for you. Because it's like, well, you're used to this, even though it's hell, but you're used to it, and it'll feel like it's more hell for you to be in a healthier relationship. And not to say that a healthy relationship could be hell, it's just that the not knowingness of it is anxiety inducing and could create hell for you, honestly, or for me. I mean, yeah, I'm like, let's let's come back. Basically, you could do a love spell on yourself to make yourself more open to new interactions and romantic relationships, and make it so that you physically change to welcome in a love that is everlasting, right? Like the person, like ultimately you don't want someone obsessed with you because then they would be around you 24/7, and it's like, no, you need time by yourself too. Y'all don't need to be a unit. You could be one plus one, not just two, right? Because ultimately you want, like, wouldn't we want to be with someone who is like fully functional on their own and then just elevates your life in a way? It's like, okay, I'm fine being alone, but companionship would be phenomenal. It's like, okay, I've got everything that I need, but also a friend for life, you know? And it's like not just a friend for life, but like a romantic partner or, you know, sexual partner, but like someone who fulfills you in different ways that your platonic life partners don't fulfill you in, or your other friends don't fulfill you in. Someone that adds to your life and isn't just sort of like an obstacle, I guess. I'm like, what's the best way to describe someone who isn't good for you? But isn't like also terrible, you know? Because I'm like, you want to have like some sort of chemistry with a person, or whether that's romantic, friendship, whatever, flirtatious, you know, like you want to have something. But yeah, it's like doing a love spell on yourself to open yourself up to these new um experiences and people. Because I mean, it could easily be you that's holding yourself back, but you don't know that, right? Like you could be creating your own blocks um by not putting yourself out there, by not going out, by not trying to meet new people, by not breaking the cycles of, you know, not conformity, but I like what that sounds like. But breaking the cycles of what you've done in the past, right? But I do love the Love Witch as an example of as another example, because I'm like the Wish Willow, that's like a one thing. And I did hear that Curry Barker wants to do kind of an anthology series of like different wishes with the Wish Willow and like different stories. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Um Honestly, I feel like Kane should also do something like that with the back rooms as well. I think that would be kind of fun too. Um but yeah, Curry was just like talking about how it wouldn't just be like a love thing, it'd just be like maybe a money thing or something. Just other instances of the Wish Willow not doing a great job. Because I'm like, yeah, it's you gotta be very careful about how you word stuff too. Because I'm like, the universe and everything is gonna give you what you need, not exactly what you want. um, and sometimes you gotta just get used to that too, because it's like, oh, okay, you wanted this, but did you really? Did you really? And it's like you kind of get that with this movie as well, because at some point I hated this too. I legitimately hated this too, because it was just like he knew that he caused this to happen with Nikki and the One Wish Willow. He was in denial about it, but he knew because her actual personality would break through and she'd be freaking the fuck out. And rather than him being like, let me stop, let me not try to make this work, he would then fuck her instead. And I was like, okay, so this is just sexual assault. This is rape. You're raping her. Like, that's what you're doing. Like, that is what this is. And like she's just become this like doll of a person that you can fuck, and she waits for you, like a fucking pet or something, like that's ultimately what was happening. And then of course, then when she becomes erratic, he's like, oh, maybe there is something wrong with her. I don't know. Um, and I was like, at least he wasn't. My whole thing was like, because I was thinking this kind of mirrored like what happens, what I've heard happens a lot of like a woman, like in like a marriage between a man and a woman, where the woman is this caregiver. She does a lot of stuff. She takes care of the home, takes care of the kids, takes care of her husband, but then all of a sudden she gets really sick, whether that's just like sick or like cancer sick. And now she can't take care of the home. She can't take care of the kids. She can't take care of their husband. She is literally going through chemo. And what does the husband do? He cheats on her, divorces her, and moves on. And I was thinking, I was like, thankfully Bear isn't this fucked up. I thought he was gonna be when Sarah wanted to talk to him like late at night and he snuck off. And there was a scene where true Nikki, was able to talk to him and be like, "Can you just kill me?" Actually, like she's asleep. Kill me right now because I can't. This isn't me. This isn't me at all. And this happens after Ian is throwing this party get together, and I was like, "Oh, Ian has all these other friends." That was my surprise. And I was like, "Oh, it's really Bear that doesn't have that many friends. Like his friends are his coworkers who have also been people he knew since high school, which is Ian, Sarah, and Nikki." And I'm like, I don't think he knows too many people. Also, he's been living in his grandmother's house who passed away, and he inherited the house, and all of the medication was hers, presumably. And he just didn't clean that out, I guess. I don't know. Again, he's so passive. Um, and but yeah, there's a scene, and I'm like, Indy is making crazy faces in this movie. I'm going to talk about it in a second about like the lighting and cinematography, because that was really fun. This was really, I liked how they did a lot of this stuff. Taylor, you did that shit. The cinematographer. But yeah, there's a scene. Basically, Ian is like, come out, leave Nikki. There's something going on with her. I don't know what, but she can't be apart from you. But you need some time by yourself, at least for a little while. Like, come on. And I'll make this a guy's night. I'll uninvite Sarah and all this stuff. And like it's just he's so annoying. He couldn't even her tell Nikki that he was going out by himself. He's like, "Yeah, no, come. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine." Because she's, again, freaking out and all this stuff, screaming and shit. She has to shower herself because, again, she's shat and pissed on herself while waiting for him to show up. Oh my God, there was this disgusting part where um, she made a sandwich out of the dead cat. Disgusting. And I'm like, he's not even telling people what the fuck is going on as well. Like with Nikki and everything like that. That was pissing me off too. And I'm like, you could just vocalize some things, just anything. But he's like, no, well, her dad has cancer. And everybody's like, doesn't she hate her dad? And then Ian went so far as to look into it. Her dad is fine, not in the hospital. That's weird. So she's lying about that. And it's like, yeah, of course she is. Because she's under a spell. But like, because again, Bear is trying to. I'm calling him Baron. I'm not calling him that fucking nickname. Baron is trying to, be in denial about what he did and how he has her fucked up, acting crazy about his ass, and being in denial about raping her. Because I'm like, even when we did see them having sex, I was like, she doesn't even look like she's enjoying it, actually. Because it probably wasn't even like the her that was possessive of him when they were having sex, because they weren't, looking at each other. Because she would like physically come back into herself when they would actually have like eye contact. Like when they first started making out and stuff, she would scream and freak out and run away from him because she's like, what the fuck's going on? Because this isn't me. But yeah, so they go to Ian's party, and there's guys there, there's Sarah there. I'm like, there's not that many. There's some women sprinkled about. There's a lot of background characters and stuff, background actors and stuff, and they're doing this like Jenga, not truth or dare, but it's like a dare thing, I guess. It makes you do stuff. And so there's a part where Baron has to kiss the person to his left, and then it switches over to Nikki, who's looking really upset because he was sitting next to her, but he got swapped out with somebody else. And now he's sitting next to Sarah. And so she's making this like really sad face. And she goes out of her way to get up, drag Sarah's chair back, and then sit next to Baron so he could kiss her. And then all of a sudden she freaks out and she's like, this isn't me, this isn't me, and starts slamming. She breaks a glass and then puts it in her eye. It's a pretty graphic movie. Some of the stuff was reminding me of Talk to Me, actually, in the level of violence, but I feel like Talk to Me gets way more fucked up violent wise than this movie. I mean, there is one really fucked up scene that like took me by surprise, which I'm about to talk about. But otherwise there was other stuff that I was just like, yeah, okay. um where I wasn't like as shocked or anything like that. I was like, "Oh, this is shocking." I'm not shocked. This is just shocking to me. But so everybody's like, Baron, take her to the fucking hospital. What the fuck? Do something, Baron. Like, literally, he is, again, being a very passive, taking the back seat in his own life. That's, I think, what analogy I was trying to make. He's taking a back seat in his own life, literally unresponsive as she's freaking out, doing something that he's already witnessed her do in other aspects when it comes to him. But now she's doing it publicly. And it's like, okay, Take her to the fucking hospital. Do something. Don't you care about her? Aren't y'all in a relationship? Literally, Ian and Sarah being kind of freaked out because she was definitely not into him at all. Sarah, even though it was obvious that Sarah liked him and everything like that, Sarah telling Baron she wasn't really into you like that. And I had told her that I was into you. And she's been fucking Ian for the last 2 years. What's going on? What's wrong with her? Something's up. And that's the thing too. I'm like, Sarah and Ian understand her and know her more than fucking Baron does, apparently, because he's again into fucking denial about her acting differently. He really wanted to believe that she was in love with him on her own and not because of the fucking one wish willow. And I'm like, you're just a bastard and a bitch. And I hate you. No, but I was just like, he's pissing me off. He's pissing me off. But either way, um, he does try to take her to the hospital. They, for some reason, don't take her in the hospital. I don't know why. That was weird. That was a weird scene because we didn't get any like talking or anything like that. It was just like him. I don't know. It was weird. The nurse came out. She just denied them, and Nikki was definitely like out of it. Um, but yeah, they make it home. She's fine, I guess. But then, yeah, this is when we get her talking to him while the other her is asleep and asking to be killed. He sneaks off, talks to Sarah. Sarah has been trying to get into art school. And I'm like, this is a heartfelt moment. That's why I got shocked and surprised by this because they were having a heart to heart. She was talking about wanting to go into art school and become an artist, a tattoo artist and everything like that. Um, Wanting to tattoo her dad that she got accepted into art school on his like forehead and everything, like right at the hairline. It was just like really cute and really wholesome because at first the conversation was about Nikki and how she's like changed and how her behavior is erratic and all the things about how Ian and her Nikki were fucking. Sarah told him about, and then it turned to her just like coming to Baron as a friend and talking about art school and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, you barely see her running in the background before this happens. And I think that's why it worked really well as like a shocking thing. Because all of a sudden, the fucking door window breaks and Sarah is getting her fucking head bashed in by Nikki. It's getting bashed into a brick. Because I was like, wait, is that the steering wheel? Like, it wouldn't do that much. And it was like, no, it's a fucking brick. She brought a brick. She used a brick to break the fucking window and then bashed her head in. And then after all of that, which was so fucked up, I felt like that went on for too long, actually. I was just like, okay, I get it. Her head is getting bashed in. Her head is getting bashed in. I get it. Um, but yeah, and I'm like, that was that was a perfect use of that, like, kinda jump scare moment because like, they weren't even talking about Nikki, they're just talking about art school, having this heartfelt moment, she was just really hopeful she got into college and everything like that. This was, like, the final school, sending her a letter, she didn't even open it yet, and then all of a sudden her head was getting bashed in, and I was like, "That took me by surprise, okay." So I was like, because it just lulled me into like a, oh yes, the struggles of trying to get into school, art school, and getting out of your small town and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I was like, fuck, man, that's crazy. And then they made it more fucked up because after that was over, Baron opens the letter and she got accepted into art school. And I was like, this is so fucked up. Sarah didn't deserve this. And then Nikki comes around and is like, "All right, Baron, you have to help me now. We have to get rid of her body." I was like, oh my god, Nikki, you're creeping me out. You're creeping me out. But oh, another movie I was gonna bring up is like Stepford Wives as well. That has kind of a similar connotation of like these men going out of their way to change their wives into um these sort of better versions of themselves where they're getting taken care of and all this shit. That's another really good movie. I want to say there's technically two versions of it. Stepford Wives. I'm like, yeah, we got to take a break from that because that was crazy. It's a book from 1972, feminist horror. That's kind of funny. Um, there's probably other movies like that. There's a 1975 movie, but I know specifically the 2004 movie. But I'm like, yeah, I'm like, it's giving Stepford Wives. I'm trying to remember that movie that came out recently with the guy from One Direction. Direction. Oh, Harry Styles. Can't remember that man's name. His Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling was trying to do a Stepford Wives thing, but wasn't that great. Florence Pugh is phenomenal. And Chris Pine. Honestly, I kind of just love Chris Pine. He's great. He's a cool guy. I love that he's like comedy as well. I feel like he needs to go back into doing more comedic stuff. There's that period where he had like long hair. I love men with long hair. I've said this before. I've said this plenty of times, I think. And I was just like, he's way more attractive to me right now. And he's also being funny. Love men with long hair and love men that can make me laugh. I'm like, that's not all I need. But I was like, yeah, let's take a pause because I needed a break from talking about this woman getting her head bashed in. But anyway, so I'm also under the assumption that Nikki is going to take care of that after Baron is helping her. And then, of course, there's a horrific scene later on that is like, actually, no, she didn't. Why did I trust her words? She's crazy. So Baron, I forget when this happens, but Baron, it's definitely before all of this, but he tries to call the customer service number on the back of the One Wish Willow, and it's just like, hey, I would like to cancel out my wish. And the guy's like, yeah, you can't do that actually. And I was like, at first I was like, is this guy like kind of jerking it or something? Because I used to work at a sex shop and people would call the number just to do that. Ask us to describe our like biggest dildos and shit. And I was like, I'm hanging up. Well, no, I would just hang up because I was like, whatever. Because he had this like sort of slow, whatever. If you watch the movie, you understand. But then I was like, oh, maybe he's actually high. Something. But either way, it was just like he was trying to get them to cancel out the wish, and then that didn't happen. And he was like, yeah, no, you can't. Do you want to talk to Nikki? And Baron's just like, what? And then it's just Nikki screaming, like actual Nikki screaming. Um, and yeah, it's just like, I'm like, what else happened? Okay, so Baron, after he can't cancel out his wish because, like, yeah, no, you got that at a crystal shop. It might have been $7, but that was real magic. You could have believed in it, buddy. Um, but so he goes back to the crystal shop. It's a different person working. This person also fucks with him, which was really funny. too. And he's like, no, they're just over here. Whatever, man. It's too early for what you're doing because it was like 10 a.m. and he was still bloody from Sarah because, he's freaked out. He's like, I have to, do something. So he buys a bunch of these. He tries to break it for himself again, and he can't because it's magic. It's a one wish willow. So it's probably the same willow that you're getting this one wish from, so you can't make another wish. But you can try to get someone to counteract your wish. So he decides to finally tell Ian what the fuck happened and brings the one wish willow to him. And he's like, he explains everything. He's like, I made this wish. Ian's like, that sounds crazy. What are you talking about? But it's like, hey, her behavior's been different. You know that. We know this. It's because of this. I made this stupid wish. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he takes it and he's like, I wish I had $1 billion. And then all of a sudden, money just falls from the sky. From his ceiling, actually, because they're inside a house and Ian, all this money just is falling from his ceiling. And he's like, what the fuck? And it was just like, Ian surprised and amazed. And then Baron devastated because he's like, fuck, man. You just fucked me. And Sarah's dead, so he can't ask Sarah. Um, and so he makes it back home, and there goes Nikki being crazy. And then we do see Sarah's dead body. Now she's naked. Her head is mostly gone. I was like, what the fuck's going on over here? Nikki, what the fuck were you doing? There's a gun. And I was like, okay, is it Chekhov's gun? Because my thing was, he could either, he'd be a really terrible person if he killed her instead of killing himself. Because at the main thing, the person who did the customer service said that the way to get out of this is if he dies, because she's just going to love you until you die, basically. And I was like, okay, so he either be really fucked up and kill her, or be really not fucked up and killed himself, or kill both of them, kill himself and kill her. Murder suicide. That could be possible too. And so, what is it? He's trying to get her to wish for him. He tries to, but not really, because she's still like kind of bloody and she's got a gun now too. Um and Ian shows up and he's like, hey man, what's going on? I literally have $1 billion. And then he gets shot in the head by Nikki, and I was like, Ian can't catch a break. Um so now all her friends are dead. Like all your friends are dead, basically. Um Baron takes a gun, goes into the bathroom. It looks like he's gonna kill himself. He chickens out with the gun. I was like, yeah, no, he's not. He doesn't have it in him to pull that trigger for himself. And honestly, at that point, I was like, yeah, it would just be better for you to kill yourself and kill her, because if she wakes up out of this, now you're dead, Sarah's dead, and she killed Sarah, and she also killed Ian. Not to mention the fucked up cat thing and whatever else other fucked up shit was happening while you weren't there. And it's like, I don't know if you want her to wake up to that either. It would be a mercy killing at that point. And so he remembered the oxycodone and took that. He took one, and then he took a bunch. And then he's about to chicken out of that too, but and make himself throw up. But then all of a sudden, he changed, walked out of the bathroom, super happy, super in love with Nikki. And I was like, oh shit, she used the willow on him. She used the willow. And then I was like, oh, does that cancel out what he did with oxycodone? Nope, not at all. And so he ends up dying, or seizuring or whatever. He's like foaming at the mouth. And she's like, "What did you do? Oh my god, oh my god." And she's freaking out. Oh, there's I'm gonna talk about camera stuff in a second. But she is freaking out, trying to wake him up. He dies, presumably, because all of a sudden she goes from freaking out about him and all this stuff and, her love for him to just screaming. And there was this really cool camera action where it went from being on them to like tilting and turning and being looking at the TV that was on, and it was like upside down as well. And then we got the end credits. And I was like, okay, so he died. She woke up out of her obsession fog, and that was the end of the movie. And I was just like, ah, that was good. It was really good. But yeah, talking about the camera work, I really enjoyed how um they lit her at certain points. I mean, that's the cinematographer telling the grip and lighting people what they wanted, not just the cinematographer doing this, because like Taylor Clemens, who shot this, he's done like shorts. He did a movie called Forbidden Fruit. He did Holly's music video for In Your Hands, which will give you a good idea of like how he works and stuff. Um, like he did a really good job of this as well. Um, no, but oh, that's what I didn't say. So I liked how she was lit when she was becoming more and more obsessive, where she'd be in the dark completely, even though it was well lit around her. And all you could really see was like the catch lights on her eyes. That was really creepy and spooky. And they did a lot of fun stuff with playing around with like the frame rate and everything like that, because she would be walking as if she was possessed, and it was like they either overcranked or is it undercrank? I always mix these up. um and like they probably did slow mo and then fast motion, or did they do fast motion and then slow motion? Always fuck it up. Always can't remember properly. Here, let me just look up the terms. Overcrank. um, Okay, yeah, they did overcrank, so that would be slow mo. Um, undercrank. I'm like, oh, let's listen to these pauses. Undercranking was slow remix and action is sped up when played back. Yeah, okay. They undercranked. They undercranked. So they filmed in slow mo and then put it at normal speed. And then what happens there is that great. Okay. I'm like, why do I always forget these damn terms? Get away from me. And the action is sped up when played back. These ones are hand cranked. Most operators were trained to slow down slightly whenever a punch was thrown, so that the blow seemed faster than it really was. I'm like, yeah, let me just read this out to you. Almost all of Jackie Chan's martial arts movies make use of the same basic principle during the fight scenes to make the action seem more exciting. When shooting video, where the frame rate cannot be manually controlled mid shot, a similar effect can be produced in the edit suite by selectively deleting a single frame here and there. So, like, yeah, they either did that where they deleted some of the frames, because that's why her motion at some points was really janky, because you're really just missing some of the frames in between. So they either did that in post or they shot her specific scene undercranked, so at a slower frame rate, and then sped it up. So it's undercrank, not overcrank, which is fast. I'm like these terms. I always like kind of forget the technical what it means technically. I know what it is, but I forget like when explaining it. Um, but yeah, no. Taylor, he did that. Who else did I forget to mention? Oh, I wanted to talk about the art director who was calling out the industry for basically she's paid less than $7,000 on working on this film, but the movie is making more like it's probably over $175 million at this point because that was June 5th when this article came out and when she was complaining about this, and it's definitely now probably more than that. I think it's probably doing really, really well. And I mean, yeah, she was just complaining about this in general, but it's also like it is kind of fucked up that, you could be paid, like whatever rate, and then when the movie does really, really well, you're not seeing any of that at all. Like, what the fuck is that? It's like, why the point? Why the point? Why the fuck would we even do anything if you weren't going to also get a cut of that? I mean, obviously, she didn't go into this movie thinking it would make a lot of money, but still, yeah, like the movie, okay, apparently the movie was made for $750,000. It was projected to make about $250 million. Um, she made about 300 a day as an art director, which came to about $6,000 after taxes. And yeah, she like knew all of this. She was just stating the reality of filmmaking and what this all comes down to. But I know that there are some productions that are trying to do it where you would at least see some of that money after the fact. I mean, this is why residuals and things like that are very important because it's like that's why television was such a lucrative money maker for people, and that's why people aren't seeing anything in streaming right now, because if a show gets canceled right away on streaming, they don't get residuals for that. Especially because it's like it's supposed to be a longevity thing of like you not just do one season, but you do 2 or 3 seasons, and you get the residuals from that. But now no actors aren't getting money for. I'm like, that's just actors, right? What about the people behind the scenes that are doing like the work of making this creative thing become reality, It's like if I took my short and put it in festivals or whatever and I actually made money from it, I would want to go back and pay everyone that worked on it cuz like what the fuck? That's just like kind of greedy of me if I just was like I'm going to keep everything, you know? Like what the fuck? But no, she was just complaining about the reality of filmmaking in general and how you don't really see money in this way. And then people kind of just took it as like, well, you shouldn't do da 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 da. And it's just like she's explaining the realities of this industry, and y'all are being fucked up. Y'all are being fucked up. But to end this all, um, I mean, okay, let's talk about because I'm like she did a phenomenal job as the art director. The production designer was really great too. I'm like, all of the sets and everything were really, really nice and really like they felt lived in, they felt real. This felt like reality, not just like, oh, we're on a set and everything like that. The art department did great. It was a team of 6 people. All the sound design was really done really well. Sound department was like a team of 9 people. The person who composed the music, a guy named Rock Burwell. He's also going to be doing uh, the composition of Anything But Ghosts. Um, Costume designer, Blair James, did a great job. I felt like everyone had a distinct personality with their clothing. And VFX team, team of 5 people, 2 of which were from the VFX studio Queen, which has done a lot of other stuff, which is really cool. I forgot to list off what they've done, so let me look them up again. They've done stuff on. Oh, their website is cute. Actually, their website is really cute. Um, they do stuff like screen comps, so like putting um I'm like watching the video as I'm trying to say it. But like whenever you see a screen on in an ad or a movie or something, they put something on that screen. Like that's things they've done. So they've done it for Amazon, done it for Asus, they've done it for Apple, they've done it for Capital One, Nike, Salesforce, those kinds of commercials if you've ever seen them. They do cleanup, object removal. So literally, so it could be anything like from if it's an action movie, there's usually like wire work, say they remove the wires. Same with like padding or things that the stunt people fall on. They remove that as well. They do matte painting, so that's just like the backgrounds and set extensions. So yeah, because it's like matte painting still exists. It just exists in like a digital sense. So you're doing it all digitally. Um, but yeah, I'm like their stuff is cute. I mean, their stuff is cool. I like their website. They do product adjustments. So if, say, for instance, they're showing an example of like a Splenda commercial where Splenda could be coming out with a new product, but maybe the mock-up for the product isn't done. They don't actually have the actual product ready for it to get filmed, but they do have old things that will have um that have the potential to be like wrapped with the new product like copy. So yeah, they add that onto the ad because the product has already been, recorded and everything. They just have to have the proper packaging, so they do that kind of thing. But I wanted to end this talking about the stunt coordinator slash intimacy coordinator on this film, Jen Albert. When I clicked on her IMDb, I was like, oh my God, this is a gold mine. Because I was like, what do you mean you're the intimacy coordinator for Fated to My Forbidden Alpha? I was like, what the fuck is that? It's like, oh no, oh my God. As 2 clans of werewolves battle for supremacy, a young woman is thrown in between the cross lines. That's what that one is called. And then I was just looking at all these titles, Straight Until He Kissed Me, and I was confused at first and I was like, "Oh no, that's a BL." Duh. Med student Miles caught his influencer med student girlfriend cheating. Staging a fake affair, he accidentally kisses the handsome CEO, Hunter. He swore he didn't like men, and Miles swore he was straight too. One kiss changed everything. I was like, oh my God. And then what was his? Teaching my robot boyfriend how to love. In a world where love transcends boundaries and a lonely novelist discovers true love with James, her AI boyfriend, navigating a journey filled with emotions, danger, and the realization that even robots can have a heart. I was like, what are these? And then it turned out these are all like fucking the fucking vertical dramas that you can find. And I'm like, I've stayed away from these because one, they're in English. So I'm like, okay, I understand, and this feel it's gonna feel very cringy and the acting is bad. And I've mainly watched the like Chinese or Korean vertical dramas. Um Even though the acting is kind of bad, but I they have more leeway for me because I don't understand what they're saying, so I don't have to pay attention to how bad the acting is. So, um, but but I'm like, oh my god, like let me go through these titles. And she's the intimacy coordinator for like all of these, and I'm like, I love that. I love that they went out of their way to get it an intimacy coordinator first of all, and then okay, so there's in the palm of his hand, the mafia princess and the new girl, the CEO and the country girl, and it's like, of course, CEO, of course. And what's a fun? Let's like, what's another one? The Virgin and the Professor. The fuck? The CEO trap. I'm like, I might have to watch Forbidden Duel with my professor. My billionaire husband doesn't remember me, and I'm like, I've definitely seen that one. That's another thing too that happens is like a lot of these get like cross made into other languages and other like nationalities. Some are situationship, sleeping with the president, his one and only love, another the virgin and the billionaire. What the fuck? She's done that twice. Oh wait, no, I said the version of the professor. This is a different this is a different thing completely. Oh my god. It just this was just so funny to me. Billionaire's borrowed bride, Duke with benefits, pregnant by my ex's dad. Oh my god. Miss Swan, teach me love. I hope that is age appropriate. He looks old as hell, but he could be playing a teenager, I guess. I don't know. No, he looks old. He looks older than her. Um, this one sounds good. Bound by Vendetta, Sleeping with the Enemy, I Got Married Without You, Goodbye My CEO, and then oh my god, yeah, okay, okay. God, she's been doing this since 2023. But um, Smoking Tigers looks like her first one, and then Fated to My Forbidden Alpha 2023. She did all 60 episodes of that. God, that looks. Oh my god. Whew, man. But I was like, I need to end this on like kind of a fun note. But it's just that was I was so surprised when I read all of that. I was like, oh my god, she's done so many. What do you mean? What do you mean? Literally, like that was amazing, phenomenal. I love that, and like I was telling someone before, it's like it's amazing that you can even get anything made and put out there to the world. Like that's amazing. To have an idea, have it come to fruition, get people on board to act in it, help you with the lighting, help you with the sound, having a crew, having actors and all this stuff. Having it all come together in this perfect marriage of like schedules and shit. And especially if it's a student, if it's like a low budget where you're paid like in transportation and food, potentially, like I could only afford to feed people on my shore. And it's like to still be able to make something and have it come to fruition, to have an idea, have it come together, have people help you, Bring it to life. Evanescence. No. I start singing the song. But like that's fucking amazing. That's amazing. Um and I'm like that's amazing at any level, truly. Whether it's good or bad. At least you made something. And especially in like how AI is trying to take over, how people are trying to force AI on everyone. It's like it's amazing that you even got to this point. And then for it to be well received and well loved, like that's amazing. I'm like whether or not it was good or bad, that is amazing in of itself, honestly. And I'm gonna end it there. I'm probably gonna watch Sheep Detectives. It's a murder mystery. It's a whodunit with sheeps, something lighthearted, make it a little different. But anyway, you can find me on Instagram at V_new_R_. My podcast archive is at www.nwwitapod.com. Follow me on Patreon. You can see the live version of me talking and moving my hands for as low as $3 a month. I'm trying to add more things on there to make it worthwhile. Um, and that's patreon.com/VNoirs Film Club. The noir is spelled with the E, same for my Instagram. And yeah, listen to my podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.